Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Yarns with Andy. Today I've got Anastasija, all the way from Lithuania to Scotland to New Zealand. She's had a very interesting journey building buildings in Scotland to designing HVAC systems, full HVAC systems in New Zealand, working for consultants to starting her own consulting business. Welcome, Anastasija.
Oh, sorry.
And her phone goes off.
Yeah.
Ka-ching.
How good.
How good. Perfect timing.
Kia ora, everyone.
Hello.
So my name is Taranenko. I'm the founder of A Consulting. We design building services engineering, and in particular focusing on HVAC, so which is heating, ventilation, air conditioning, for those who don't know. So we ensure that space is not too cool, not too hot, and that the air is fresh, and that you don't get panic when you get your energy bill.
Oh, that's important.
Right?
Well, I have a heart attack every time I get my energy bill out.
Yeah, especially in this economy, right? Like everyone's
It's crazy
counting
expensive.
pennies. Yeah.
What's your bill?
Oh, my bill is around 300.
Okay, mine's about the same. Mine's about 280.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay, 4-bedroom, 4-beddy?
Yep.
Yep, same. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. How do I get that down? That's why you're here to tell me.
Oh,
aren't
yeah.
you?
That's we'll cover this for sure.
All right, go on. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you come from, how you ended up in New Zealand.
Sure. So I'm originally from Lithuania. And when I was 19, I moved to Scotland to study architecture engineering degree, which was a 5-year study, basically focusing on building services.
Yep.
And afterwards, I got opportunity to transfer from WSP UK to WSP New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
cool.
so this is how I ended up in Auckland. And in here,
Why New Zealand, though? You could have chosen anywhere. That's halfway around the world. Did you just turn around and say, oh, look at this. I've got an opportunity. I'm going to travel halfway around the world.
I always knew that I'm gonna move somewhere. Like as much as I love Scotland, I always felt that it was just a temporary stop. So when I was considering different options, I remember Googling New Zealand construction market, and at the time it was amazing.
I bet you wouldn't say the same thing now, would you?
I mean, it's still you still find clients who are busy. Yeah. It's not too bad.
Okay.
And so basically, I was just considering different options, and opportunity came, and I moved here and got chartered here, and then I always knew that I'm gonna start my own consulting firm.
Oh, wow. Good on you.
Yeah. And then, like in your mind, you when you have this sort of dreams, you know that one day is gonna happen, and opportunity came up, and it made one day being today. So I jumped on it and took a big leap of faith, and this is how A Consulting started, basically.
Oh, cool. So then you moved with WSP, and then you worked for WSP for a while, and then set up AE Consulting?
Then WSP and then Jacobs, so big consulting
Jacobs.
firms. And
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's interesting how life works out.
Oh, mate, it always is. And everybody's journey is different, and everybody's journey is interesting. And that's what I find interesting about running this podcast, is actually understanding everybody's journey. It's like, I love it.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to understand, what made you decide to start your consulting company? So when did you kind of decide, I'm starting?
I always knew, as I mentioned, that it's one of my goals. So, everything I worked towards was around this goal, like getting chartership, getting experience in different like building sectors. And when at Jacobs, things were a bit light. And I remember my big boss said, like, oh, catch up with people who you know in the industry, who inspires you. And basically I texted someone I knew in construction, and we caught up, and opportunity arose. I got offered some work while I'm setting things off the ground. I was like, actually, why not?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Go, Hannah. There we go. Well done,
grateful.
well done. I know, I've set up strategic planning as well, and I know it's a big leap of faith to leave a consistent job that you're going to get paid a monthly salary to setting up your own business where your income could be up and down and up and down. You got to manage your cash flow. You got to learn GST, dividend withholding tax, resident withholding tax. Trust me,
a lot. Yes,
I had to learn all of it, and I'm going, whoa, there's a bit here.
Yeah, but you learn by doing. So this is one realization. And also like whichever path you take, let's say if you're deciding to stay in a big corporate, it's going to be difficult as well. You're going to manage big teams, or you might start your own consulting firm, and it's going to be difficult as well, but different challenges. So
Agreed.
whichever route you take, not going to be easy.
Yep, you either deal with the politics and the red tape of big organizations, or you deal with the working really, really, really hard as your own boss, which is, different hard. Yeah. But anyways, good on you though. Good on you.
Thank you.
Starting it. How's it going? How's it all going? Good?
It's going good. I think I've been quite lucky getting clients who have opportunities. But yeah, it's like looking around. It's been interesting times, like looking at uncertainty people going through and restructures, and definitely impacts your mindset. And so not easy for New Zealand construction industry, and I'm feeling the pain as well.
Aren't we all? Hope things change. But anyways, now on to why we're here, right?
Yes.
I want to talk about HVAC, and I want to pick your brains on everything about HVAC. Let's go.
Yay.
Yay, look at that. Something you know about.
Yes.
Okay, so when do services models start getting integrated into the design? So, you go through concept design, developed, detailed, IFC. When do you start, at what point in stage of that design lifecycle do you start introducing services?
Great question. Most people call concept preliminary design stage honeymoon.
Honeymoon?
Because,
They call it a honeymoon? Is that what they call it?
A honeymoon, because everything gets along, everything looks positive, things actually working on paper. And normally, we start from the very beginning, ideally. But
At concept?
At concept, yes. If you
So
want
do
to.
you actually get engaged at concept design stage?
Yeah, especially on the big projects. But on the smaller jobs, we often deal with already preset structure. But even on the bigger jobs, everything gets set normally at the end of preliminary stage, and afterwards we're basically dealing with constraints. And often no one wants to increase plant room space even by 1%, and this is where things go sideways. And generally, it's not because anyone done things wrong. It's because people didn't test their assumptions properly. Sometimes we run our duct routes and suddenly realize that there are structural beams on the way. So whose fault it is, right? So it's interesting coordination exercise.
Yeah. Yep. So in a project you get involved in, say, the prelim design set. Your grid lines are all locked. Your prelim design's there, and hypothetical scenario, you don't have any plant room space. What do you do?
How great!
Why isn't that day to day life?
We just cry.
Isn't that day to day life?
It does happen more often than I'd like it to happen, and without naming project name, for instance, just an example, we've been involved in a fit out project where it's an old building, already a structure preset, and risers preset, ceiling space preset, and our brief was to deliver compliant ventilation to each hotel room. And on paper it sounded amazing, like easy as, until you start running how it will be done. And we did consider different routes, even different systems types, and reducing ceiling heights. But design team didn't want to compromise because in hotel, obviously, the feel matters.
You don't want to feel claustrophobic in your hotel room. It's the last thing you want.
But then,
hey, trust me, I've stayed for 21 days in a hotel room over COVID.
Oh, really?
So, no, I understand the pain.
And
that feel is really important, yeah?
Absolutely.
I'm with the architects here, not with you on this conversation.
No, I totally understand, but you're playing with physics, right? Like the force of gravity is the same anywhere you go. And as much as we would like to change something, sometimes limited when it comes to compliance and also performance. So in this stage, we had to walk away, unfortunately.
Because you couldn't come up with a solution that was feasible?
Because the team couldn't compromise on...
Because the architects couldn't compromise on design. Yeah, right.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But you must have that clash regularly with architects.
Yeah, and this is I think this is where clash comes when we don't understand each other's constraints. So in both the UK and here in New Zealand, I often see when, let's say, layout changes and meeting room, which was like 4x4 meeting room, suddenly becomes 4x10 kitchen.
Okay.
And like for some team, it might seem like a straightforward change driven by client. We just asked to change.
Well, for the architects, it's not a lot, is it? He's got to move some walls around. He's got to move the door around.
Yeah.
Oh, services? Who cares about that? Who cares about fresh water? Oh, who cares about grey water? Hey, your problem.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yours is only HVAC, but yeah.
Yeah, but like if people at least realize that, oh yeah, like at least services will need to look at this, but often design teams don't even realize the implications of certain changes. Like in this scenario, ventilation rates need to be recalculated. Sometimes like fire rating changes and you have to change like penetration
pacifier
sizes, and hydraulics engineer, they need to take into account these new fixtures and electrical load changes. So like there's so many things impacting different teams. And I think this is where clash starts and misunderstanding appears, really.
Oh,
yeah.
So do you keep butting heads with these architects all the time, do you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
How do you deal with it?
I think it's understanding constraints. Like I think if you educate teams on how different disciplines operate and what's important to us, what's important to architect, and I respect what's important to architect, and same respect goes our way. This is when we achieve good results. But when there's a bit of a silo happening with design, this is when things become really challenging, because fixing spatial constraints and whatnot, sometimes very expensive, and client at the end of the day who is struggling with the result we get.
You know, it's quite interesting. So I see it from the other side of the fence, right? So I work for main contractors. I don't work a lot with the design space and with architects. That's not where majority of our work is strategic planning lives. We see it from the constructor side. From the constructor side, we actually worked in this project where, to put the services up on the ceiling, strapped in the ceiling, the main contractor had to adjust his scaffold arrangement 6 times.
Wow.
In one room.
Buildability.
Is that something you guys consider while you're actually butting heads with the architect and you're putting services up, right? And you're going, hey, would we ever consider how the builders, or the methodology and how the builder's actually going to put it up?
Yes.
Is that a consideration in your design?
It's definitely buildability, health and safety, access. It's all parts of a
safety and design.
Yeah. No one can come out of it. We're all responsible.
I know, but hey, it looks good on paper, right? It looks great on paper. Or you guys may tick everything off on paper.
Yes.
But who does a reality check on when they actually get to site, when the rubber hits the road, you know? How many times would a builder need to adjust the scaffold? Because technically what's happening is, I'll say again, real life scenario.
Yes.
You guys do a design and the architect protects his patch and goes, yo, hey, I need this looking pristine and shit needs to be made out of gold here, right? Okay, whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Happens.
All the time. And then you guys going, I need to make it fit within the structural and the architectural design intent. Cool. But then nobody cares about the poor constructor who's got to actually build it.
Yes.
Right? But then the builder would have considered maybe 2 scaffold arrangement changes to put this services up. Suddenly they realize when they actually get on the site, 6 scaffolding changes. Do you know the cost of scaffolding these days?
It's a lot. Yeah.
Oh, it's insane. Who pays for it?
Yeah.
You see? So the flow-on effect then goes, the client goes, not my fault. You gave me a fixed price lump sum, right? So the main contractor goes, oh shit, we're in a bit of trouble here. We do have to put the services up. We do have to change the scaffold 6 times, whatever.
Yes.
Right?
And I assume it was existing building, because normally those sort of challenges appear when you're dealing with unknown. when you open existing ceiling and suddenly there are 1,000 things you need to remove, maybe asbestos, maybe something else.
Yeah.
So there's definitely
I'm talking about a new building as well, by the way.
Right,
Not even an existing building, but this is a completely new building getting built. But then you see the downstream effects of not getting the design right. I face the downstream effects, either from an execution planning perspective or a delay dispute perspective, which is not the kind of work we like doing. But
I think this is where ECI becomes more and more popular. When we bring contractors' expertise earlier into design, and we actually learn that we'll need to put 6 times scaffolding, because I think we all have our own expertise, and we need to basically respect those opinions and hear them and take on board all this knowledge.
But how do you foster that collaboration, though? How do you foster the collaboration between, say, you've got designers with design intent, which is the architects, you guys are experts in your field. You've got various engineers and compliance officers. Then you've got the builder, the poor builder, by the way, who I'll always protect.
Yes.
Who's now going to... You all have to now work together, right, to come up with a solution that works.
Yeah.
Everybody from individual disciplines, right? How do you foster that collaboration?
I think...
No, wait, before that.
Yes.
Do you think that collaboration exists today?
I think it can exist.
No, that's not the question. Does it exist?
I've seen it happen on a couple projects, but I also seen it not happen on a couple projects. And I think we have preconceived ideas from the get-go, before we even start project. We already for instance, design team might think that contractors trying to cut corners, and or contractors might think that design team doesn't know how to build things. So we already have this butt heads approach, which doesn't really help when we discussing ideas, because everyone's already starting on a defensive line rather than let's collaborate, right? So number one is understanding each other's priorities that are different to contractor who's driven by program and margins.
Money.
Yep, money. And designers who are more focused on performance and getting things right. So there's a bit different. So once you understand what drives people, I think the conversation is easier, because you can focus how both of us can win rather than only one side
winning.
Winning.
Okay, so it's pretty good, but have you been in a situation where things haven't actually worked out between the architect, between the builder, yourself in the middle? Have you been in a tricky situation?
Oh, all the time. And when you, as a designer, praying to open spec and find the clause that somehow covering you. So unfortunately, again, it's just different perspective, different pressures, and we are a bit as a designer, you protecting client, contractor has different priorities, so it's a bit different.
How do you manage
angles.
That situation? How do you manage conflicts between a designer, main contractor, you in the middle?
How do you manage? Interesting. I mean, you start with conversation, right? You need to solve a problem, first of all, and things need to comply. Compliance drives a lot of things in construction.
That's a whole can of worms. We'll get into that. Compliance drives everything. Yes. In that one statement, there's so many problems, but yes.
Yeah.
And not, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think when people are solution focused, because at the end of the day, you need to solve the issue, conflict, or whatever happens on site, right? And there can be different options to solve it. And I guess when you present different options, I think when people only give you one solution, that's when you don't really get to the best solution and approach. You listen everyone, and I guess each option will have cost implications.
Time implications.
And sometimes it's up to the client to decide which way to go, which way not.
And 9 times out of 10, clients don't know which way to go because they don't have the industry knowledge to make that decision. You know?
But I guess it's our job to advise and present different angles.
Different options, different angles. Cause and effect impact to the project.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you need to solve things, right? Especially if it's construction. You don't have months and months to develop on one issue.
Yes.
Things need to move.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Yeah.
So, can I ask you like an interesting question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know the current procurement model on how a client would either procure a designer, procure your services, procure a main contractor. Do you think like our procurement model is swayed more towards self-preservation as opposed to collaboration?
Yeah, absolutely. I think.
Yes. Tell me more.
Unfortunately, it's the case. And especially when the issue involves a big dollar sign.
It always does in construction. That's a problem, right? Like, what's your cost of running a site per day?
Yes.
It could be north of $20,000 a day. You add your portacom bills, your labor on site, your everything.
Yes.
Your temporary works, your scaffolding on site, your plant labor material, everything on site could be north of that. I'm talking about a medium-sized commercial project.
Yeah.
20 grand a day is like nothing.
Yeah, and this is what creates, people start looking, is it within my scope or not? And collaboration still happens, but it's not because of a contract, it's despite it.
Sorry, say that again?
The collaboration does happen, but it's not because the contract actually inspires us to collaborate.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah. So I had an interesting chat with a guy from McCreaney Construction a while ago on my podcast. And he told me a statement that always lived in my head. It still does live in my head.
What is it?
He turned around and told me, my contract lives in my bottom drawer. If I ever have to pull it out, I know there's something wrong. And that contract is going south. And I have to really jump into it. Yeah,
I remember one of the lawyers mentioned that the best contract is the contract that you never look at. Which is, basically along the same lines.
Yeah. So what do you think we can do to change it? Have a better procurement model? Ideas? Thoughts?
I think it's risk, right? Like who's taking the risk, and once if we're changing some of the places where risk lies, this is perhaps will improve.
But here's the thing, though, right? Okay, so say all the risks are identified up at prelim design, develop design, maybe. Clients gear up with project management companies. Project management companies' sole purpose is to not manage the risk. It's to push the risk down as far away from the client as possible. That's how we've been operating today.
Yep.
Right? How do we understand the risk, take the risk, and move it out, push it down to the main contractor, the main contractor turn around and go, I'll push it down to the subcontractor. So the risk is not appropriated or managed at who's best able to manage it.
But it's like whatever you do, it involves risk, right? Even if you don't do anything, there's still a risk.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But how do we then take that risk and let the person who's best able to manage that risk manage it, as opposed to have very defensive contracts that say, I want nothing to do with it. I want a fixed price lump sum. I don't want to deal with any variations.
Yeah, I understand both sides. Like as a client, you want stability, you want clarity on how much things will cost. That's why things are pushed this way. But from our side, it's also how do you achieve this clarity and still win a tender when when things are so competitive. So it's definitely a tricky one.
Yeah, I have some ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Digitalization. Better use of the data that we've got available to us. Yep. I think we do a terrible job in construction of actually managing data well.
I agree. I totally agree. Yes.
It's so bad. It's so poor. It's like we keep creating these silos, right? So let's take an example of you coming up with a design for an HVAC system. Yeah.
Yep.
What happens with that design? Let's walk through the life cycle of that design. This is interesting. I didn't even prepare for this. I'm just winging it. But let's go.
Sure. So I
didn't prepare for anything, but I'm winging this book.
Yeah.
But
you're doing well.
You reckon? Mm-hmm. You're doing amazing. I'm just like, This is the 90th time I'm doing it. So.
So in terms of where things begin, concept stage, obviously, this is where designers will outline different options to the client.
Sure.
And then we move to preliminary, and this is when we already selected option that we'll go with. And normally at prelim, things are in 2D. We're not, I mean, sometimes we do put big plant. Big plant, yeah.
Why is it in 2D? I'm going to challenge that. Why is your prelim in 2D? Why don't you start designing your concept in 3D? From a massing drawing, sure.
I think concept is made for outlining options.
Sure. Right.
Options.
You go to prelim, why do you start in 2D? Why not in 3D?
I think actually prelim does sometimes involve 3D as well, and it's normally to just have showing spatial constraints and like how big the main plant's gonna be, how big the main root's gonna be. So you don't go into like crazy detail, because things do change, and and basically next design stages will add more and more detail.
Sure. Okay, let's keep walking through the process. So in prelim, you've got a 2D design. What happens next?
You're adding, like if it's a big project, there's money to do things in 3D in Revit. That's obviously good option for coordination because...
Okay, let's break this myth, right?
Yes.
Designing a 3D model in Revit is not expensive.
Yeah, I agree.
There is a common misconception in the industry that creating a 3D model is expensive. It's not.
Yeah, but I do also think that you don't always need 3D model. Like if it's a very
I
easy...
disagree, but okay.
Yeah, if it's very easy design, like not complex, and you have lots of space, then there's no reason. And I think 2D, 3D options comes because of the industry capability as well.
See, that's the problem as well. Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, the industry capability. Now you hit the nail on the head, right? It's not the cost. It's never the cost. The cost of a 3D model, it's not expensive creating a 3D model. My problem lies here, right? Why do you start designing in 2D and then converting a 2D drawing into a 3D model? Makes no sense to me.
But even let's say if you...
Why can't you start in 3D and move to 2D? You can do 2D drawings straight off your 3D drawings, which is not difficult. You know that. You've used Revit.
But let's say how do 3D drawing like model appears? It appears by somebody sketching or somebody telling the design intent to the drafter.
Correct.
And they then create 3D. So it's always like idea always starts in the head, and then it's basically makes it reality, right?
Yeah.
So,
but it's your starting point, right? So it's your starting point. Why not start with the most useful piece of design that you could come up with, which in my opinion is 3D, because that has longevity. Because I'll explain further, right?
Yes.
Because we're working through the work cycle, right? Okay. So you've gone through the prelim. Now you've gone through develop design. Assuming you get your level of detail of your, I'll say 3D model because that's what I'm hoping the industry will get to.
Yes.
To LOD 350.
Yep.
Yep. And then you could do your 2D cuts from that. Sure. Your sections from that. Sure. What happens after that, right? You know what happens to that 3D model currently in this industry?
Yep. Well, I mean, if there's a coordination side, right?
Yeah,
on the
there's
design.
Coordination.
Yeah, we do.
But do you know what else happens to that 3D model?
It disappears, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Right? But here's a different pathway I think we can explore as an industry, right? Okay. So if you take that 3D model, imagine you could then set up that 3D model and with a clean data set to then automatically process it, quantity takeoff. It's not impossible.
Yeah. You can do so much with 3D model, but also like you also need to upskill, let's say, facilities managers, like who...
Yeah. I'm getting to them slowly.
Struggle.
That is down to BMS, right?
Yep.
Yeah, building management systems, right?
Yep.
But let's stay with the construction company for now, right?
Yep.
So you've done the design, okay? The 3D model now can be used for a takeoff automatically. Currently, nobody in the industry actually uses a 3D model to do a takeoff. Nobody.
It's sad, isn't it?
Fucking pathetic. Okay. Let's keep carrying on that journey, right? You could use that same 3D model to now generate a program. Yeah, because if you've generated an estimate out of it with quantities, it's as simple as saying you're adding a verb to the noun. install steel, pour concrete, install door, install window, install HVAC. It's not hard. You add the verb to the noun, you've got the quantities. Quantities divided by production rate will give you duration. You get a program.
Yep.
Cool. So your program and your estimate is both tied to your 3D model. Now let's say change, and change is the only constant. Something changes in the 3D model. Do you know how easy it is to process change management? Oh, this changed. I've added 5 new flanges here. We've added this piece of kit here. There's a new motor control panel there. Cool.
Yeah. I think within building services, lots of things are not captured in 3D, unfortunately.
Why?
Like there are lots of nodes and like outside of actual physical, physical side. Like
So if you started the design in 3D, everything would be captured in one note, rather than starting in 2D. Would that solve that gap?
I think why are we issuing specification, right? Specification is to cover for so many things. It's not just model, because we're fixing, like as you're saying, 350. Will 350 cover everything? Probably not.
Probably not.
LOD,
you do have to up-rev that to LOD 400 if you want to get your fixing details.
But I think it's awesome. Like we need to move that way. It's not to say that it shouldn't be done. Like technology definitely not been utilized as much as it should, and this is where we'll be behind if we don't jump on tech side, because this is where productivity comes in, right? You cannot just ignore AI and all our tools. Yeah.
What if I told you that tool already exists and we're working on it?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
You heard me talk about it?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I mean, it's just sad that not many people in New Zealand really have the vision to even uptake this technology. You know, they've got excuses, they've got reasons why not to. So we've just gone, all right, New Zealand, we'll go test it in the rest of the world, and then we'll bring it back to you.
It's sad, because like New Zealand should be part of a change.
I agree.
So what's the
I
main
need designers like you to jump on board to then understand what we're doing and work with us to go right. Because I'll tell you, right, okay, I understand your pain points as well. I really do understand your pain points, okay? You guys love designing, you love creating, you love being compliant with the code. I get it, right? What you hate doing is adding metadata into a 3D model.
Yep.
Do you know what we've automated? Adding that metadata. So you give me any 3D model, okay? We've actually got a machine learning platform pre-trained to load uniclass classifications against every single asset within a 3D model.
Yeah.
Push of a button. We get 85% accuracy today.
It sounds to be too good to be true, to be honest. But
I've spent my last 2.5 years on this. So I'm sure you work with Uniclass, yes?
Yeah.
Uniclass is the asset classification system, you know, because say you work with either Oricon or Becker or Jacobs or WSP. Each and every one of them would call a concrete slab with a different naming convention.
Yes.
That's a problem. That's a serious problem, right?
Yep.
Okay, so one guy calls it a structural decking system, the other guy calls it a slab on grade, the other guy calls it a slab, a concrete slab, you know.
Yep.
It's all different. One day I'll call it formwork or pour concrete. Like,
okay?
We're
creates
talking
confusion,
about
right?
Yeah. We're talking about concrete slab, right?
Yes.
Simple.
Yep.
It's not hard. It's a piece of concrete on the ground, right? It's the most basic thing in construction. And that's the number of naming variations you get, right? So the first thing we needed to fix was, doesn't matter what 3D model we got, and doesn't matter who it comes from. Whether it comes from Becker, WSP, Jacobs, whoever, wham, I don't care, right? We'll look at all the metadata that you've got within the 3D model, right? Including your IFC classes, including your material types, including everything. And our machine learning platform will go and actually assign what we call a uniclass code against it. Okay, so internationally, this is recognized as a consistent asset naming classification. Look it up, uniclass.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. So
why do you think New Zealand industry not using 3D models for material quantities and
back to I think the problem comes in twofold. Yeah. Back to what you said earlier, right? Not everything is modeled in the 3D model.
Yes.
And therein lies my struggle to turn around and go, designers, why aren't you starting your design with 3D models? Why are you starting in 2D? If you started with 3D models, then you'll capture all the information, and every time there's a design change, you'll go back to your 3D model as opposed to going to your 2D and then forgetting to update your 3D. Like nobody knows what you guys have updated and have not updated on unless until they see it, right?
Yeah.
How do you then quickly manage that change? If you forget to mark a red cloud on your drawing, how do I know you changed it? I don't.
But actually, in 3D, it's quite challenging to understand the changes.
It's not, because what happens is, if we index every object that we've taken out, you give me version 2 of the model. With a click of a button, I'll tell you what's changed, where the changes are good, by how much, visually.
Yeah. Because, at the moment, it's a bit tricky.
Revision to revision to revision.
Yeah.
Will automatically process it.
Nice. Well, change doesn't happen overnight, right?
It doesn't, no.
It's a process.
It is a process, and that's why I need more designers like you on board.
Yep.
Ooh.
Sorry.
People trying to get hold of you?
No, it's yep. Apologies.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why I need more designers like you to actually understand what we do and work with us to go, we'll give this technology a go. Why not? Because I don't know if you can see the benefits in what I'm talking about.
I think contractors will definitely see the benefits, and
it'll change your life too. Let me tell you how it'll change your life.
Change my life. But I think like it's easier to start with structure and architecture side, and then move into all the services and our nitty-gritty. Yeah.
We've already done the structure. We've already done the architecture.
Right, so that's
the structure. The architecture is easy, but it's not, because the structure and the architecture is pretty simple. You've got clean edges. You can work off models quite easily. It's the services that's what interests me, and that's why I was like, I was looking forward to this conversation, to be honest.
Yeah, that's exciting.
But I'll tell you how it'll change your life, right? Okay. Imagine you kept modeling in 3D, right? Okay, and please don't tell me it's expensive modeling in 3D. It's not. I know it's not. I've actually explored it. Like, I can get a full 3D model generated for about $6,000 for any building.
Yeah.
Right? Like LOD 350, LOD 400, which is not that expensive.
Yep.
Estimate cost, at least. Don't hold me to that cost, right? But okay, so say you model in 3D, change happens. You go to version 2, right? Okay. Now you know the design effort gone from this version to this version. Now you know the change that's actually occurred. Right, it'll become so easy for you to manage change every time you've uprev the model, even from a compliance perspective.
I think the key benefit in 3D model is coordination, because there's so many
clash detection.
cooks in a kitchen.
Clash detection.
Clash detection. Yep, that's number one benefit.
Do you think that works? Can I ask you honestly? Do you think that clash detection in the 3D world works?
Absolutely. Yep.
How? Help me understand.
You can easily run automated clash detection analysis, and then you just look at and resolve all the clashes.
Yep.
But somebody needs to do this. That's the issue currently. And
so what you do? So hypothetically, you come up with a mechanical model. The electrical guys come up with the electrical design. Sprinkler guys do the same.
Yeah, and although we agree that we will mount our ducts at certain height, and you'll have your cables under, or like still.
So then you plan for your hanger heights and.
Yes, still things happen and things clash, and
then you clash with the structure. You clash with what the architect's doing, so on and so forth.
Yep.
I can see the value, but how do you resolve it? Like, how do you you do clash detection? How do you get to clash resolution? Like, is that a complex process? Is that a simple process? I don't know.
So you normally generate report of your clashes, and
that's a push of button.
Then you go through each and every, and some of them are easy to just filter out. For instance, it's flexible ductwork clashing with structure. Actually, it's not a clash. It might be a clash in the report, but you can easily move things around. But somebody needs to actively think how to resolve and how to adjust the model and shop drawings and design Revit file.
Yeah, it's something I've never really looked into. Like, I mean, there are 1,000 other people solving that problem.
Yeah.
I don't want to be 1,001,
I think there's a big gap still, definitely.
Probably, but I'm focused on a bigger picture. How do we get how do we get clean data out of a 3D model without adding additional work to what you do, but condition that data in such a way that we can then utilize it for downstream applications? Time, cost, risk, change management.
Yeah.
So, when you look at clash detection as one aspect versus the bigger problem that I've got mapped out, I'm looking at the construction life cycle.
Yes.
I don't care about the one aspect of clash detection. 1,000 other people can solve that,
I think we've been building services for so many suppliers, and they provide us with 3D files because, otherwise it will take forever to create a family of certain air handling unit or, board, electrical board. So I think this is like the first step towards change is actually having suppliers who are ready and ready to give you files that have all this information, because at the end of the day, this is number one limit.
Yeah, sure. But we've just thought about the problem differently, right? So you're looking at the suppliers and saying they need to have all the metadata coded in their model to give it to you.
Yep.
I'm saying I don't care. I really don't care. I care about you giving me a finalized 3D model, and we have our machine learning platform that's going to look at all the metadata for every single object and automatically assign a uniclass based on the metadata that is already available.
Yeah.
So as long as you have some metadata available, we'll make an assessment on what the uniclass assignment should be, and then what the location breakdown should be. Then we'll recalculate the quantities for it. It's not that difficult.
Well, I hope one day we'll get there, because at this stage, even like at the moment, I'm looking at different system like plant Revit files, and it's sometimes such a challenge to even get a file that even closely relate to your selection. So
really?
that's it's. it's not that easy, and we might end up with single supplier who can do this, and this is why everyone's specifying them, right? So it's basically monopoly. Like we want somehow to help smaller suppliers to also generate this file that you can use as a meta file with all the information that we need for maintenance and the rest, right?
For building management systems.
Yeah.
Oof.
We'll get there. Yeah. It's one step at a time.
Yeah. Anyways, that's a long conversation about 3D models. I'll probably stop and not bore you more. Let's get back to HVAC. Get back to HVAC. All right. So where do you see the future of HVAC going? What is good sustainable HVAC design look like 10 years from today, from your perspective?
I think New Zealand industry is very much like cost-driven.
Is what?
Cost-driven.
Cost-driven. Yes, we are very cost-driven.
And sometimes people forget about long-term benefits of certain systems. So we basically disregard good solution. And I would very much encourage clients to think long-term, and also to think about flexibility of the spaces.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Somebody told me. That's why we have so many warehouses in New Zealand. Like, warehouse the stock.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we understand cost. We don't understand value in New Zealand.
Yep.
We turn around and go, this is cheapest what I could get it at. But nobody will ever do the assessment of whether it's going to last me for 10 years or 15 years. And what's the usage I'm going to get out of it. And what's the real value of this product, even if I'm paying twice.
Exactly.
If it's the cheapest, I'll take the cheapest.
Yeah. Because it's energy costs and maintenance as well. When we are reducing plant sizes and all this, are we making it safe for people to actually maintain it? Because sometimes what happens, we create such a tiny plant room that no one really wants to go in, and like basically the plant's been forgotten, and then you pay it twice because you need to replace it in 5 years instead of 20, right? So there are many.
Probably more than twice. By the time you look at craneage and getting your plant in there, navigating through a narrow space. Interesting.
And in terms of where future is going, I think AI and data-driven performance analysis will definitely. It's something I'm very curious about. It's.
Have you started incorporating AI into your business?
Well, I'm using it every day, but
for what?
For calculations and emails and all sorts of things, analysis, and I do check what it spits out, of course. And sometimes it's wrong, often is wrong, but
Often it's not. That's the whole point,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, often it's not. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're like, I feel a bit guilty because there's so many tools that we're not using, we're not exploring, because it's basically a full-time job to be on top of all the updates and.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, but it's exciting. It's exciting to
is,
see
yeah.
where it's all moving, and it's exciting to see how the boring task can be taken away by AI. And I think I'm personally not. Some people are afraid a bit of AI. I think it's exciting change.
It's incredible. I think it's going to change how we run business. But yeah, but there is like LinkedIn's now filled with it, like AI. They call it AI slots. People just copy pasting from AI, putting it on LinkedIn to generate posts, and it does generate additional waste as well. Now when you look at posts, you automatically default to, oh fuck, this is AI generated. Oh fuck, skip.
I think there's a thing that says this post generated by AI. There's some like a notification on the top. Sometimes you can
Sometimes. I don't think it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Though. Like, people humanize it, and people have tools to take AI generated content to humanize it, to put it out there.
True.
You can still actually turn around and say, like, oh, that's AI generated, dude. Like,
yeah.
Like that's
and you lose a bit of trust, right? When it's fully AI generated, when basically instead of me talking here, there's AI clone. But it's quite exciting where marketing and like videography side of things moving.
Yeah. And not just that, like even with 3D models, by the way. With 3D models, you can actually connect it back into an AI LLM to actually start modeling for you. Did you know that?
Yeah, and there's an option to assess
Do
different.
you use Bonsai?
No.
Bonsai is like a free 3D viewer.
Oh, right.
Download it. It's Bonsai. It's called Blender Bonsai. Okay, Blender is this tool that Hollywood uses to do their lighting design and to animate the characters and whatnot.
Yeah, it's quite cool when we are taking technology from a different industry, right,
100%.
and applying it. Yeah,
that's what I found quite exciting about. Like when I installed Blender for the first time, I was like, "Ooh, what shit is this?" Then I got Blender. Then I got Bonsai as the add-on you get to it, which will let you view an IFC file. It's quite magical. You should try it. Yeah. So you get a 3D model in IFC. You load it into Blender Bonsai, and you can actually make edits to the 3D model, and it's completely free.
Wow.
Just kind of Blender, download it, and it's like completely free.
I wonder how they make money, right? Because if it's
don't worry about making money, right? Like you keep providing value, and money will follow. Like I've always been a strong believer of that. I'm just sick of paying 100 subscriptions and going, fuck, I don't know how many more subscriptions did I pay? And when I see real value being generated, and I'm like, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about it on the podcast. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's crazy. You should check it out.
Definitely.
It's a 3D modeler.
Yep. Yeah, I think we need to promote those tools as well, because this is where people stop progressing, right? Because you see a massive license cost, and when you're like, actually, I'm not gonna get Revit, or I'm not gonna get this, I'm not gonna get this. Yep.
So that's why we've designed Strat apps, and we've made it completely free to everybody.
Nice.
We like all these little applications that we're developing to enhance the construction process completely. We won't charge anybody for it for now.
For now, yeah.
Until we can sustain.
Yep.
And then I don't think the costs are going to be, the cost that we're talking about isn't going to be crazy. That we plan to introduce anyways.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Shaking the industry, eh?
Shaking the industry, you reckon?
Yeah.
Why not? I need people like you to help me do it, though. I need you guys to start designing in 3D. That's where you start influencing.
No, we are absolutely designing in 3D. I'm just saying from like concept.
No, starting the design in 3D. And only design in 3D.
Yeah.
Your 2D is just a cut of your 3D model. Funny enough, we're working with companies overseas that actually are already doing that.
Totally. I think why
get rid of your 2D designs. You don't need them.
You go 2D because things still moving a lot. Mm-hmm. So instead of like wasting time on modeling it 3 times, you just basically do a sketch. Yeah, and it's sufficient for what you're doing at that stage, but it won't be sufficient over later on for sure. Like it's yeah.
Like even our contracts don't promote digitalization. Our government procurement models don't promote digitalization.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
Something's got to change. Something's got to
Yeah.
change. Yeah. But anyways, we've spoken a lot about HVAC and 3D and design, and it's been fun. We haven't even taken a break.
I know.
It's incredible. It's incredible. We've been going for an hour. It's crazy.
An hour? No way.
Easily an hour.
Wow.
We've been going for an hour, Tyler?
Just under 50 minutes.
Just under 50 minutes.
53.
Same.
Wow. No way.
Time flies, right, when you're sitting in the mic?
Yeah.
That's why I looked at my watch and like, whoa, we've gone for like 50 minutes. Crazy.
That's
insane. Anyways, I want to finish off with like a little bit of a personal story from you and understand a bit more about your journey, you know, from Lithuania to Scotland to how does, like, you know, you've worked in different countries, you now live in New Zealand. How's that travel and that journey kind of shape where you are today?
Yeah, so it was interesting for me as well to challenge myself and see if I can stand on my own ground and basically figure out how to build life somewhere else without having support. So that was probably the main driver why I ended up in Scotland. And when suddenly my dad passed away when I was 25, and I think when things like this happen, it puts things into perspective. And I always knew that I'm gonna move away to New Zealand, somewhere else. And it kind of made me think, why not now? And that actually sometimes courage is not just going for it. It's realizing that if you're not doing anything, that's probably has a bigger impact in your life than actually taking this step. So
interesting. That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, so that's how I ended up in New Zealand. I think like knowing that I already moved to UK and I just felt that I can do it again, which was an interesting journey. And I'm super grateful.
All it takes is a flight ticket and you pack your bags and you leave, right?
I know, right?
That's it, right?
Pretty easy.
Tell me about it now. I'm in a similar situation, but we'll talk about it off camera.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, but anyways, I think we're running out of time and they're going to kick us out pretty soon. We've gone for an hour now.
It has been a good fun.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. Like, thank you so much and for sharing your insights on HVAC design and the challenges you face in the industry. It's been quite insightful. I've learned a bit today.
Yay. And thanks for the platform. I think this is great what you're doing.
Yeah.
And conversation is where things start when change begins. And super excited about things you're doing.
Oh, the tech?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you the tech. I don't think you've had a chance to see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Anastasija. An absolute pleasure.